Hello, I'm Quinn Rangel. Another dime, another dollar, something like that.
Oh my! I'm SpongeBob.
Once again, if you like the meme, make sure to tell me, man. Because listen, these memes are hard to like think of. You know, I'm not making them, but like I'm finding them. That's probably harder than actually making the thing. Just me personally. I don't know. What? Anyway, you know what movie I love? Marty Supreme. Marty Supreme is such a good movie. It's not even just the best movie of 2025. You can even argue 2026 because of how late the release date was. You know, just saying. But Jen, like thinking about the best movies of the 2020s in general, I just know when 2029 comes around and 2023 is like just around the corner. I know when we're looking at the best movies of the entire decade, I don't know how you can mention 2020s and movies and not even have, you know, some semblance of Marty Supreme. Marty Supreme is just really that good. It just really is that good. But nonetheless, even though I like it, and even though my opinion is right, people have different opinions. And you know what? Some people don't like stuff that I like for some odd reason. And so we're actually gonna look at that on Letterboxd. One of the best ways to spend your free time, by the way.
Reading hate reviews of Marty Supreme.
So if you want to know the thumbnail, the 2.5-hour delusion of a narcissist come to life, starring a man who makes Heisenberg, Darth Vader, and Jack Torrance look like great fathers by comparison, challengers for straight people who talk about Quentin Tarantino on a first date. This comparison just doesn't make any sense. It actually, like I'm trying to think about it. First of all, he names a bunch of guys and saying, oh, they all look like great fathers in comparison. Most of the movie, majority of the movie, except for maybe, I don't know, 30 seconds to maybe even a minute, maybe a minute in, you know, at the very end of the film, he's not really a father. I mean, sure, you know, she has like the baby and she's like claiming it's his and he's like saying like,
no, it isn't.
We as honest are kind of seeing it being like, yeah, that baby is probably yours. So I guess if you want to, I don't really know if it's expanding the definition, but if you want to expand the definition to include, you know, also the pre-birth, he's not the greatest father, but Darth Vader dog? The same Darth Vader who, like, through the Force, like, yeeted Padme while she was giving birth? We're comparing those two people together? That's what, or even Heisenberg. Yes, the same guy who sold and endangered not only his wife's life, but his, you know, daughter, like infant daughter, and even Walter Jr., you know, because of one thing about him, which is greed. Marty isn't greedy, nor does Marty have the Force. But I mean, he is narcissistic, and in his narcissistic personality, he does do a lot of things that are very self-centered, and he does do a lot of things that are just his goals, and whatever are not his goals, he just doesn't pay a lot of mind to. But you know what he does do at the end? He goes back to the States and he becomes a father. I mean, the ending, you can kind of interpret it a number of different ways. I interpret it as he takes up the challenge of being a father. So, you know, unlike Walter White or unlike Darth Vader, you know, he actually does step into the role of being a father. I mean, come on. I just walked out of this dumb movie and I'm so mad. I hate it so much. Okay, will I return to my seat? Yes, probably, but I'm deciding right now this is so dumb. I hate it. Don't waste your money. If any movie tries to dog, I'm out. I was so disappointed and upset already, but that was my breaking point, bruh. It's so bad. Half a star for the flashing girl from Flushing, the nanny named Fran, and for Tyler the Creator, I love him. Okay, I will return to my seat now. I shall see what the second half of the movie has to offer, except I hear loud noises and screaming. And I don't know, I'll just hate it more. I don't know what's up with like, I don't want to say the people, but like animals, specifically dogs. There was a whole thing with Good Boy, man. First of all, Good Boy, was the dog really gonna, it really, come on. Let's use our thinking caps here. Not wearing a hat, but I'm not capping. That's a good one. But yeah, same thing in this movie. I think it was very clear and very obvious. The dog wasn't really going to be like in any sort of harm. The dog portions, I can't remember too vividly anymore, unfortunately. There's a lot more of things that are striking and memorable about the movie. than the dog portion. There's a lot of nuances and a lot of characters interacting and a lot of character development and a lot of relationships that get torn apart or even tested, and you want to focus on just whether the dog what? Why? I don't know, it gives me CinemaSins vibes. It really does. Like, you're kind of purposely ignoring the bigger picture here. Too slow for me and felt like the plot was going nowhere. The ping pong matches had potential to be way more immersive with editing, and it just didn't make sense how he won against the Japanese guy with no training or practice. I think in terms of the review so far, this is a little bit more nuanced. It's a little bit, I think it has fair points. One of the biggest points I'm pretty sure I already addressed in this Anthony Fantano video. I'm personally under the impression that he could have always won. If you play video games of any kind or even any sport of any kind, you know that tilting is 100% real and definite thing. And so if you're a Marty Supreme and you're hyping yourself up and you're like, yes, I'm the GOAT at ping pong, and then oh, you lose one segment, and then oh, you lost again, and oh, third time, he's tilted. He's literally not even going to win anymore. It literally doesn't even matter how hard he tries at that point on. It's a mentality thing. It's a mentality thing. It's not a skill issue, because he is and he can be the best at ping pong. However, if your mentality is in a tilted direction, I mean, you can't really do anything except take a break and try to come back later. And you can definitely see that last ping pong match as him like really locking in this time. It's all or nothing. As for the plot being too slow, if you interpret the plot as a ping pong movie and you interpret it as him trying to be the best at ping pong and trying to progress in ping pong and his ping pong skills, you are probably interpreting the movie in the wrong fashion. I think if you interpret the movie as Marty and everything he does to wrong people, everything he does to wrong himself, everything he does to wrong the people around him, the people he cares about, all in the name of ping pong, I think it makes a lot more sense how the movie is actually playing out. It's good on principle. I didn't like him as a character. I think that's fair. What can you even dispute at that point? Like, sure, he's not supposed to be kind of a likable character, but I mean, like, if he kind of gives you kind of go away heat, I guess you could say, it's fair. It's fair. Yeah, okay, with men, it's always I have a higher purpose and you don't. Until they fail miserably and they don't realize how lucky they are to be allowed to come back to the regular schmo life that they hate so much. Yeah, that's the movie. It's crazy. You did the whole problem. They did step A, B, and C correctly. They interpreted everything correctly. Yet the answer, it's kind of wrong. Once again, I think there's another problem of people interpret the main character, which a protagonist does not have to be a good person. They do not have to be the moral character. They're just the main person in the story. And our protagonist, Mr. Marty, he's not a very likable person, and he takes advantage of people. And even when handed opportunities of a normal life as a manager position, as like a salesman, he instead opts for his dream of ping pong. And at the cost of it, he doesn't just cost himself, he costs everybody around him in some form or fashion. That is the movie. You got it right. But the score, it just doesn't. You have everything. You have everything. It's just you're one step away, and you're blaming the wrong thing here. I worry about the detrimental impact this will have on the general male population. Low-key, a valid concern, and I think if people aren't interpreting the movie correctly, I think it's valid to see a lot of men kind of looking up to Mr. Marty Supreme and being like, I want to be like that guy. No, you kind of should be. You kind of should be. You want to be the grinder, you know? Yeah, listen, I'm making YouTube videos for like 0 views. I'm grinding. It inspired me to grind a little bit. But you know what? You kind of have to not burn every bridge in your path and to the side of you and even behind you. Based on how some guys have kind of attached to some characters in film, I think it's valid. It's a valid concern, to be honest. I'm sorry. Okay, last one, and it's a doozy. It's kind of a long one, to be honest. Honestly, I'm really trying to like it. I keep asking everyone why they loved it and reading positive reviews to try and change my mind. I might give it a couple days/weeks then watch it again and see. I thought it was boring for pretty long stretches and so many side quests that deviated too much from the main storyline. I wanted more ping pong. There weren't enough redeeming qualities in Marty to make me want to root for him, but I also didn't care to watch him suffer over and over again. I was kind of just sitting there thinking, why am I watching these things happen to this guy? I felt uninvested in most of the characters now that I think about it, and I didn't like the ending. It felt like he got undeserved absolution even if it was internal. I thought Timothy was amazing though. I see all the symbolism, and the director said it's about seeing why your parents are the way they are, and I think that's great, but I didn't enjoy watching the actual movie and seeing those themes play out. I think I might not be a Safdie girl. Love the soundtrack though, and there were some pretty funny jokes. Once again, 2.5 star. Not a complete hater. There's actually a lot here, so I actually have to pick up my phone and kind of remind myself what I'm actually replying to. I think there's a fair criticism here of wanting more ping pong. Yes, I kind of do wish there was more ping pong, but as I thought about it and I started gripping with the film a little bit more, it makes sense why there isn't any more ping pong than there already is, which is about just like 3 matches or so. It's once again because the movie is not about ping pong, it's about Marty. It's about Marty being destructive to not only himself, but the people around him. When you look at the film through that lens of Marty being destructive, you can see how the plot moves along at a very, very steady pace. I think when it comes to rooting for Marty as a whole, I think if you're in the audience and you're watching the film, the reason you root for Marty is number one, dream chaser, dream big. We all love an underdog, and we all love to see somebody kind of achieve their dream at something, you know? Especially once again, if they're facing adversity, then we want to see them overcome adversity. But on the other hand, we know that all of his downfalls stem from himself, and we know that if he just wasn't lying, or if he just wasn't brash, or if he wasn't overconfident, we know he could do a lot more. But because he's a narcissist at heart, you know, then you kind of have some resentment towards him, and then you kind of watch it and you're like, why did you do that? Why? And with the baby at the end, once again, do I think it's absolution for what he did during the movie? Not really. I interpret it as still him being a narcissist and him still thinking that, you know what, it's a challenge. I want to take on this role of being a father. But if you interpret it as, oh, he has a baby and now he's proud to be a father and he's happy to be a father, I don't think anything in the film backs up that sort of theory. But overall, this is like another review where I kind of see where they're coming from. I think they're missing just tiny little pieces here and there, but I think generally speaking, the reviewer does get it, and I think generally speaking, they just maybe don't like it. And once again, even though my opinion is right, if you want to disagree, add your opinion as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'm almost done with this very first month on YouTube. If you want and you did get this far, I would say leave a like, maybe even leave a subscribe to see more of the content that's coming. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will do another haters reading reviewer or reading hater reviews of some other movie.